All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Blank.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So water wheeling, moving water up and down the state in an interconnected water system is an extremely complex issue, and every time I hear this, I'm reminded how complex it is. My concern at the time of the hearing was that providing desalinated water for the San Diego region would free up water elsewhere for inappropriate development in the state. And I was disappointed at the hearing to find that the Metropolitan Water District would not give up water wheeling. But with due respect to Commissioner Schallenberger, my recollection is the applicant, at least to me, did make that clear because it was an issue to me. My other observation is with piecemeal regulation and oversight, this Commission staff tried their best to attempt to ensure that greenhouse gases were offset up and down the system. But I think the record and evidence was clear to me, as someone who voted for the project, that the applicant said the other components of the system were going to have to comply with CEQA, and the Poseidon would and could not be responsible for greenhouse gases for the entire system. Did I understand that? Yes. Even though on page 22 of the staff report today it says, had the Commissioner known that the Metropolitan Water District's use of water from the state water projects were not subject to CEQA, we could have come to a different conclusion. And I think that was staff was saying, well, if you knew that, if you were depending on CEQA, you would have changed your vote. And my answer is no, I would not have changed my vote. So all that is kind of a lead up to what's in front of us is whether there's enough information for me as a commissioner to see whether this information meets the standards for revocation. So number one, was there intentional inclusion of incorrect information? And again, we all, could look at the same evidence and come to different conclusions, and my conclusion is no. I think the records and video, at least for me, don't show that. Number two is, was there inaccurate, erroneous, or incomplete information? This one's kind of interesting. I think we've now all proven to each other that water projects raise immensely complex and very confusing issues. But I'll observe that neither staff nor the applicant has done or has continued to do a good job of simplifying this issue. I think we've continued to make a complex issue very complex. I don't think that's adding much to this issue. I'll just observe a few diagrams could have replaced about 150 pages of text of how greenhouse gases and water flow from the state water project through Metropolitan Water District to Poseidon and back and forth. I think a couple pictures would have at least had us all understanding what the issues were in front of us. However, I can't find that lack of clarity meets the standard of inaccurate, erroneous, or incomplete. I just think it means confusing. Finally, for revocation issue 3, finally, would have I asked for different conditions on the permit, or would have I denied the application if either the applicant or staff were more coherent in their presentations? No, it would not have changed my vote. So as far as I'm concerned, the issues for revocation, have the opponents met the test? The answer is no. So I will be supporting the staff recommendation for a no vote, and then I will also be supporting the amending motion.
Commissioner Blank.
I just want to briefly second Commissioner Kruger's comment, and someone else said it. I forget who it was. This is almost asking the commissioners who voted for the project, do we think that there was any evidence that would change our minds? And yet, what I just want to remind our fellow commissioners is that the ones who voted for it are not the ones saying that we had a problem how we voted. And while I appreciate all the other commissioners who weren't even here in the hearing, who might have an opinion of what we thought, I just want to remind the rest that those of us who voted for it are still telling you that we voted for it and we understood it and we support the staff recommendation. So I would just ask you to perhaps give us a bit consideration that we weren't deaf, dumb, and blind at the hearing, and we no longer still are. While we might disagree, we do still understand what we voted on. So thank you for that consideration.
Thank you, Commissioner Blank, and I want to just